So after 14 years of running a totally closed, VIP-only ecosystem, mobile ad titan AppLovin is finally throwing its doors open to the public this June. And I mean, it could unlock billions, basically, overnight.
Yeah, and they are doing it with margins that literally, they look like typos. An 85% adjusted EBITDA margin is just structurally offensive to normal companies.
It really is. Welcome to Earnings Unscripted, everybody. It is May 6, 2026, and we are unpacking AppLovin's first quarter. And just a quick reminder up top, everything we discuss here is just our personal opinion. Please do not take it as financial advice.
You definitely want to do your own homework here anyway, especially if you were watching the tape right after the close. It was complete chaos. The stock, it actually spiked up to 524 in extended hours before totally reversing down to 435. It eventually settled out to a modest 2% drop near 462, but the market was clearly confused by the print.
Which is weird, right? Because the actual results were so incredibly clean. They posted $1.84 billion in revenue for Q1. That is up 11% sequentially in what is historically kind of a dead quarter. And earnings came in at $3.56 a share, completely crushing the 1.67 from last year.
Right, but what you really have to look at is the operating income, $1.44 billion, up from $840 million last year. The reason the market might be struggling to price this is that the core business model is going through a massive acceleration. AppLovin essentially acts as this giant AI matchmaking engine. They pair advertisers with mobile ad supply through their Axon model, and the efficiency of this new iteration, Axon 2.0, it basically costs them $0 extra dollars to scale on the margin, which is why you see that 86% quarter-over-quarter flow-through directly to profit.
And you can really see the impact of that tech on real people, too. Adam, the CEO, told this story about a little game studio out of Turkey. 12 people on the team. They used AppLovin's algorithm for basically all their user acquisition, and they ended up selling the company for nearly $1 billion just 6 months after launching. Like 12 people scaling a 9-figure exit just on the back of this algorithm.
Exactly, and that highlights the core metric driving everything for them right now, the payback period. They are hitting break even on ad spend in less than 30 days. If an advertiser gets their money back that fast, they never churn. They just keep feeding the machine. And until now, they've only let the biggest, most elite players use this. Opening it up to tens of thousands of smaller mom-and-pop advertisers this summer is going to fundamentally change the geometry of their revenue.
It feels a little like handing a Formula One card to a bunch of student drivers, honestly. There's so much potential, but maybe some chaos, too. All right, let's get into the details and figure out exactly how they're going to pull this off.
Well, it is actually crazier than that. It is not just handing them the keys. They are essentially trying to build a completely autonomous driver for that car.
What do you mean?
So normally an ad dashboard is built for humans, right? You log in, you set budgets, you test things. But Adam made this really wild comment about actively redesigning their platform to natively support AI agents, meaning you just hook up a large language model and the AI itself logs in. It buys the inventory, tests creatives, and basically manages the whole multi-million-dollar account on its own.
Wow. Okay, that is kind of the ultimate financialization of an API, just machines buying human attention from other machines.
Right. He was explicit about it. I actually pulled the quote. He said, "We are building a system where an advertiser can onboard, generate high-performing ads, and scale campaigns profitably without ever needing to talk to a human."
Which is incredible for their scale, but genuinely terrifying for the entire ad buying industry. The media planner is literally getting replaced by a script.
Completely. And it's not just gaming anymore, which I think is the other massive structural shift happening underneath this print.
Right, the whole consumer rebrand they've been doing.
Exactly. They took their whole e-commerce segment, renamed it consumer, and they are deliberately chasing top-of-funnel lead generation now. So auto insurance, fintech, health services.
Yeah, and real-world products, too, like that Israeli pan company they talked about.
Yes.
This cookware brand was doing roughly $4 million a year before they got on AppLovin. They plugged into this algorithmic machine and are tracking toward an $80 million run rate now, selling pots and pans through mobile game ads.
It sounds ridiculous until you look at the unit economics.
I mean, but who is buying a frying pan in the middle of playing a puzzle game?
A lot of people, apparently. The algorithm does not care about the context of the game at all. It just knows exactly who the high-intent buyer is at that exact millisecond. And with the huge structural shift right now toward hybrid monetization in games, premium studios mixing brand ads with in-app purchases.
Right. They finally realized showing an insurance ad does not stop a player from buying extra lives.
Exactly. So you have billions of fresh, high-value impressions entering the market right as AppLovin's AI gets hungry for them. It is a perfect feedback loop. But
there's the but.
There is always a but with these things. Look, there is a very real risk hiding in all this automated growth. You have this massive explosion of what the industry calls vibe coding.
Vibe coding. I love that. But define it for me.
It is basically non-developers using AI copilots to spin up software. You just type prompts, you describe the vibes of the game you want, and the AI writes it. Because of this, we saw a 170% spike in new apps published this quarter.
Oh, wow.
And a vast majority is pure slop.
Pure slop.
Seriously, it is just junk code. AppLovin has to sort through all that garbage to find actual viewable impressions. The problem is the compute tax.
Oh, I see. Because every time their system evaluates a junk app, it still costs them server capacity.
Precisely. And generating these automated video creatives for advertisers relies on external APIs. They use OpenAI, they use Chinese models like Seedance to stay vendor agnostic. But every time a new mom-and-pop shop uses the free generator on the open platform, AppLovin absorbs that inference cost. Management called it a rounding error on the call.
A rounding error when it's closed in VIP. But if you have 50,000 small businesses churning out AI slop this summer?
Right. That compute bill stacks up aggressively. It could absolutely squeeze that beautiful 85% margin before they even figure out how to put paygates up.
Okay, that actually completely reframes this whole public rollout for me. It's less about finding the advertiser demand and more about filtering out the algorithmic noise without burning cash. So looking at all of that, the crazy scaling, the AI agents, the vibe coding chaos, where does this actually leave them heading into next quarter?
It leaves them projecting absolute dominance, honestly. I mean, they are guiding for Q2 revenue right around $1.9 billion. That is over roughly 52% growth year over year. And those margins, they expect them to stay locked at that historic 85% mark.
And the tone from management completely matches that. I loved Adam's opening. He just came right out and said, no preamble on stock price, no reacting to noise. From where we sit, the future has never looked better. It is a massive flex.
Right, except they have the cash to actually back it up. They are forecasting free cash flow to normalize around 75% of EBITDA this year. So you look at that war chest and then you start seeing what they really want to build.
Oh, you mean the social network thing? I still cannot get over the fact that they actually bid on TikTok's non-China assets last year.
Yeah, and Adam openly said they might still build or buy a native social app. Not to compete with Facebook, but literally just to use it as a sandbox to test their algorithm. Plus, with Google quietly killing its privacy sandbox rules last October, AppLovin's data tracking moat is basically secured indefinitely. The regulatory risk just vanished.
That is such a ridiculously pragmatic reason to want a social network. So if we just step back for a second to look at the whole picture, they divested their first-party gaming studios to be purely software, the data moat is safe, and they are opening this AI machine to the entire public in June.
Exactly. The only real constraint now is their own compute budget. But if this open platform actually scales, we are not talking about an ad network anymore. We're looking at a new, completely automated infrastructure for digital commerce.
We will just have to see if the machines are as good at buying pans as they think. I think that's a wrap for us on this one. Thanks for exploring this wild algorithm with us, everybody.
Yeah. Catch you on the next quarter.
If you want these breakdowns just waiting for you when earnings drop, make sure to follow the show. And as a quick aside, this project is actually AI assisted, which is how we managed to sift through hundreds of pages of filing so fast to find the good stuff. We really want to hear what tickers you'd like next, so shoot an email over to earningsunscripted@datamadness.ca or grab the X link in the show notes. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.